The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Redlands Riverside is an after-school program for school-age children ranging from kindergarten to age 18 who are considered middle to low income. Our program will be tailored for children ranging from kindergarten to fifth grade. According to the demographic data presented on the BGIE Redlands website, 54% of students enrolled are male and 46% are female, with 32% of students living in single-parent households. In addition, 24% of the students are ages 5 through 7, 43% are 8 through 10, 25% are 11 through 13, and 8% are 14 through 18. A majority of students in this program are Hispanic, Latino, African American, and Caucasian. Through our literature review, we found that family poverty, obesity, and mental health issues were prevalent in the San Bernardino-Redlands area. Nearly 3 in 4 San Bernardino families with school-age children come from families with low income. This poses a concern as these children are more likely to struggle in school and less likely to graduate. Our target population often experiences poverty-related gaps in education due to poverty-induced stress, lack of financial resources, and familial norms that may normalize poor academic performance. A study by Mal Holmes in 2012 revealed that children living in poverty are not only more prone to experience food insecurity and illness, but are also more likely to experience lower academic achievement, obesity, behavioral problems, and social emotional issues. Obesity was also found to be a major issue within this population. In 2019, an average of 42% of San Bernardino County students were obese or overweight. There's a high risk of obesity due to families' inability to provide nutritious meals for their children outside of school. A study by Wild in 2019 reports a correlation between low parental SES and overweight and obesity in children. Childhood obesity is associated with adverse health outcomes that can continue even into adulthood, such as behavioral problems, sleep issues, and poor concentration. Low self-esteem and body image can impact children's mental health and emotional health. Ultimately, these factors can develop barriers that can interfere with childhood success to engage in social participation, play, rest, sleep, and education. Low poverty can have a direct impact on children's mental health. According to the CDC, more than 1 in 5 children living below the federal poverty level have a mental, behavioral, or developmental disorder. High crime rates, disadvantaged neighborhoods, and domestic violence negatively influence the development of social emotional well-being. Literature reports that poor mental stability in children can lead to impairments in daily living skills, poor social and self-regulation skills, academic failure, and self-harming behavior. Based on our needs assessment interview with the unit director of BGIE Redlands, Jeffrey San Agustin, and site coordinator, Andrea Jimenez, we identified that the staff's priorities for students is to promote communication and socialization skills, develop interpersonal skills, acquire conflict resolution strategies, and encourage students to make better decisions. The staff expressed concerns with some members regarding their behavior at the club. The staff shared that children often may shut down or become aggressive towards staff and peers as a response to possible challenges within their home. This is affecting not only their experience at the club, but other club members as well. We can infer that lack of mental health support interferes with the children's social participation and overall social emotional well-being. Our team can explore the interpersonal interactions and relationships to increase occupational engagement.
Our program will be primarily focused on addressing interpersonal skills throughout the elementary school experience, in the hopes that these students will learn how to establish and maintain healthy relationships throughout their academic career. By doing so, we hope that this will promote a positive learning experience and improve these students' academic performance throughout each grade level. In order to accomplish this, each week we plan to address interpersonal skills through social emotional based learning to foster effective communication between staff and other students. Some examples that we might address include enabling students to build healthy relationships with themselves to establish a foundation for communicating with others, as it is important to establish intrapersonal skills before shifting our focus to interpersonal skills, providing students with the skills to resolve conflict with their peers, equip students with self regulation strategies to cope with stress, foster skills to promote positive language to build healthier and more meaningful relationships. Overall, providing opportunities to promote social emotional learning that will build healthy foundations for interpersonal relationships, not only throughout their elementary school experience, but in middle school and high school as well. Since our team will be working with various age groups, ranging from kindergarten to fifth grade, we will be adapting each of our weekly activities to ensure that we are remaining client centered and meeting each of the students at their developmental level. Although these activities will be modified, they will ultimately guide students in reaching the same goal and objectives each week of our program implementation. Each of our 7 weekly objectives will consist of activities that aim to encourage students to identify their own emotions using a strengths based approach. The age group and grade level will determine how the activity will be modified so that we are able to build rapport and create a client centered program. The frame of reference our team will be using to guide our program implementation during our 7 weeks at the Boys and Girls Club is a social participation frame of reference. Since our main focus is on building interpersonal skills through social, emotional based learning, it will be beneficial to implement this frame of reference as it considers not only the power of emotions in driving social participation, but also considers the fact that children inform their decision making based on their past experiences and interactions with others. Furthermore, this frame of reference identifies 7 areas for social functioning. The first being temperament adaptation, the second, emotional regulation, third, family habits and routines, fourth, environmental supports, fifth, social participation in school, six, environments for peer interaction, and seven, lastly, peer interaction. With this frame of reference driving our program implementation, we can ensure that we are meeting our goals and objectives, which will be discussed in more detail in the next section.
Our primary goal is to foster a safe, positive, and inclusive environment. We intend to do this by addressing social emotional competence and building interpersonal skills among elementary students enrolled in the Boys and Girls Club. Each week, we will be discussing new topics such as self-love, empathy, and conflict resolution to assist our students with developing an understanding of what it means to be aware of their own feelings as well as the feelings of those around them. The big picture goal is to add tools to the students' toolbox so that they can continue to pull from that and use them throughout their lifespan. Our objective for the first week is to create an inviting environment. We are planning on creating an icebreaker activity for each of the different age groups so that we can get to know the children and they can get to know us. We believe it's important to incorporate therapeutic use of self so that the children can see that we are being honest and really want to be involved in this part of their journey of life. The second week, the students will be able to identify 3 personal strengths to promote development of self-identity and social and emotional health. The third week, students will identify emotions to facilitate social and emotional health promotion and maintenance. The fourth week, students will be able to express compliments to a minimum of 3 other students to promote social, emotional health and well-being. The fifth week, students will implement one strategy that focuses on positive language to set healthy emotional boundaries. The 6th week, students will implement journaling to minimize rumination and interpersonal conflicts to improve academic performance and social participation in the after-school program. The 7th week, students will build upon their emotional awareness skills and employ a minimum of 3 coping strategies to reduce negative outbursts during the after-school program. The way we intend to measure our weekly outcomes is by creating a program evaluation sheet. We have started this process, and some of the items on our evaluation list include whether or not the child was able to meet the objective for that week, and if they were able to demonstrate any of the skills we demonstrated. Beneath each of the responses, we created a space to expand upon each of the answers. We are all very excited to be teaching these children about building social emotional competence and interpersonal skills. It is our hope that each of the topics we speak about throughout the weeks will open up new areas of discussion between the staff and the children, as well as between each of the staff members. When speaking to our site director, we each agreed to be transparent and share any information that we found to be helpful for each of the students. Since the students are more familiar with the staff, it would be beneficial to include them in each week's lesson.
When we complete our 7-week program at the Boys and Girls Club, we want to ensure that the needs of the facility are continued to be met. One way we can do this is to keep in constant communication with the staff and the director during our time there. We want to make sure that we're talking to the staff throughout our entire program and making sure that we express to them, while working with the students, certain things that we may see that worked well or didn't work well for particular students, and even the group as a whole. This way, the staff has an idea of things that may or may not work with a particular student or group of students and can then implement the techniques or interventions as needed in the future. We can explain, communicate, and even train the staff so that then they can carry over the SEL strategies and learn to elicit and promote certain social emotional behaviors. We want to make sure that the staff is well informed on what we're doing as well, so that then they're comfortable trying these interventions with these students in the future when we finish our program. We want to make sure that we provide the site with valid documentation for each child. We want to make sure that we are reporting and explaining what we did during our program and that the changes we see, so that the staff has a record of the interventions that were practiced and the children's response and growth to the interventions. We also want to make sure to keep a detailed report of our program for future occupational therapy students from Loma Linda who may work with the BGCIE in order to give them insight on just what to expect and to see what was successful during our experience and what could be improved upon, and to give them a foundation to build upon. This way, if future OT groups want to work with the Boys and Girls Club, they can continue to work where we left off. We would also want to leave the site with future resources and our brochures on our program and social emotional learning in general, to just provide more information for students, the staff, and parents to refer to when we leave. We would also leave them with other online accessible resources regarding activities for children that address concepts such as enhancing their well-being, their self-esteem, self-confidence, conflict resolution, lifestyle habit, and etc. for continued practice. In order to make sure that we can continue to collaborate with the Boys and Girls Club in the future, it's really important that we're able to meet their standards and their requirements for us as volunteers. We understand that we're representing Loma Linda's occupational therapy program. We want to make sure that we're leaving a positive impression and a lasting impact on the children. We want to be courteous and respectful to them in order to foster our relationship with the facility. It's important and imperative that we make sure that we are cultivating our professional relationship with both the staff and the students during our time at the facility by building this good rapport. We want to be open-minded and receptive to the different suggestions from the staff to show our cooperation and our willingness to work with them. They know these children the best, and that communication and collaboration with the staff can help build that rapport, which will hopefully encourage them to work with us in the future. And from our time together, we also hope that they'll maybe gain a better understanding of what the field of occupational therapy entails and the different scopes of practice that we can cover. So when we leave, we want to think about continuing to reach out to them by providing them with a thank you card and our contact information as a way of letting them know how much we appreciated our partnership. And by having this ongoing open communication with them, we can continue to provide them support and continue to address their needs. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation.